Welcome to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and of course a little bit of copyright just for fun. This is Elizabeth Townsend-Gard, your host, and I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School and a faculty fellow at the A.D. Friedman School of Business at Tulane. And I just want to quilt. Talk to Erica Shockey. She is a designer. She designs patterns. She also has some patterns at Honest Fabrics, which is super cool. We talk about thread, and applique, and all kinds of things, and it's so much fun.
My name is Erica Shockey, and I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, you guys have so much sewing stuff there. I'm kind of amazed because we went on a trip last summer. You've got a lot of quilting shops, and so many places have rent log arm spaces. It's amazing how much stuff is there. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, there's a great community here for sure. I'm actually really fortunate. I live right in Midtown, and I have a couple of shops within a few minutes of me, and there's an education center for sewing in general, which is really nice. So
it's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like there's a great community here.
Yeah, we did make the mistake to not realize how far everything is in Atlanta, so we overscheduled because I didn't realize that it takes forever to get to different parts of town.
How spread out it is.
Yeah, was
Atlanta is a big change for me. I just moved here a couple of months ago, and I've always lived in the Northeast, like DC area.
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of time in New York, and those are so walkable. And with the public transportation, Atlanta is so different. Without a car, you really can't see everything in a short amount of time.
No, it's really true. It's so funny because it was a bit of a shock. So, but again, really great. Did you join? I don't know what kind of quilting. Well, we have one more question I have to ask, so let's do that. Let's get that out of the way. Tell me your first memory of someone sewing or quilting in your life.
Okay, they're very different. So my first memory of sewing is when I was around 4, I think. My mom was on holiday break from work and decided that it was time for me to learn how to hand stitch. So my first memory of any type of sewing is definitely that. She took me to the quilt shop that was close to our house and let me pick out an embroidery pattern. And then the whole holiday break, we just started stitching and embroidering through that. And then each year after that, we actually, for whatever reason, I was drawn to the state bird on the first one that I did.
That's really cool.
So every year after that, she would take me back to get a different state bird.
I love it.
So now I have with all of them together, which is it's kind of cool.
Did you do all of the state birds for how many did you end up doing?
So the first few years we just stuck with one. And then we realized that we had this kind of tradition going. So each of us just started doing a couple every holiday when we were both on break. And then we ended up getting them all finished. So,
wow, that's so cool. Yeah, so what did you do with them once they were finished?
We put them together as a quilt.
Oh, that's so cool. I would love to see a picture of that. Would you be willing to send me a picture sometime? Do you still have the quilt?
Yeah, of course. I'll definitely send you a picture.
Oh, that's so cool. How big is it? Must be big.
Don't judge me on my embroidery.
Oh, no, of course not.
Like 20 years of embroidery.
That's really great. And do you feel like you can see the progress in the embroidery?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, how adorable. That's so great. I love that.
You can definitely tell the ones that my mom worked on the most, too.
Oh, that's very sweet. I love it. Did you guys both work on the birds together, or did you have separate birds? You did?
We had separate birds, but it was like a work in progress at first. Obviously, I couldn't do everything myself.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
My first memory of quilting, though, I didn't start quilting until I was in my undergrad in college. So I kind of joined the game much later. For the majority of my sewing life, I've been making garments and doing other projects. So my first real quilt that I made was something that I don't even know exactly what made me get to this point, but I was really stressed out, and I've always been really super OCD and detail oriented, and I needed a creative outlet, and I saw this class online and just decided that this was the medium that I needed to express my artistic self in, and I've never stopped since.
That's so amazing. So tell me, what kind of quilting, so how much would you consider yourself, like, where do you put yourself? Are you a hobbyist, a professional? Like, where do you sit in the whole quilting space? Like, tell me about you a little bit more about your quilting journey now as a grown-up.
So I think I'm a wannabe professional.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those things where I would never consider myself an artist because I see other people's artwork, and you're always your biggest critic, right? So
yeah,
I have people that I'm surrounded by. I've sold art before. I've all of those things, but I would never consider myself an artist because I'm always admiring someone else's work so much more. But I've sold quite a few patterns. I have 2 of them up for sale right now. It's a very small, kind of taken a step back just because it's not my day job.
Yes. Tell me, where would I find the patterns?
On Craftsy.
On Craftsy.
And very soon, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, they will also be on my personal website.
Oh, cool. Let's do, if I do, how do I look for it on, and Craftsy is now Blueprint. Did you survive the weird Craftsy debacle thing?
Honestly, probably not.
Did you get a letter from them saying anything weird? Shockey. No?
I don't remember getting anything.
You don't remember getting anything?
This is something I should look into.
Do you know what they did? Have you heard? Were we going to talk about this? Do we know? So they, just before Christmas, they sent out a bunch of letters to people or emails to people saying they were shutting down their Craftsy stuff. What would your?
I've seen things about this actually online, but I have not taken the time. I feel so ill-informed right
That's so
now.
funny.
I haven't taken the time to really look into it. But they did kind of like a purge, right?
They did a huge purge, and like didn't give people much time. Okay, so if we go to, let's see if yours is up still. It'll be interesting. Do you know what the name of your pattern was? Because it won't let me search by your name. Are you there? Yeah.
I'm here. Yeah.
Let's see if I just put Erica.
That would just be under my name.
It's bringing up way too much stuff. No, not that much stuff, actually. What does your quilt look like? I don't find it. I think they may have, I don't know if it's still up.
I would imagine if this was based on how much income each person was bringing in.
Yeah. That they got rid of it.
That I wouldn't survive.
It wouldn't survive it. Interesting.
No.
That's so funny.
I have a couple of patterns that I've designed. One was specifically for beginners. And it's called Don't Cross Thieves. It's made for my cat, actually.
Don't cross what?
The plus thieves. And
no, it's not.
It's a plus quilt.
Yeah.
That had all of the sizes from like a crib size up to a king size.
Very cool.
In one pattern. And it was all able to be made with different sizes of pre-cuts.
Interesting.
So, very easy kind of thing. Another one that I did was my favorite kind of quilting, I guess, is applique.
Oh, it is? Really?
Where I always find myself going.
Okay, so we'll have to talk about that. So, so did you do a pattern that was applique as well?
Yeah, so I really like doing applique patterns that appear to be paper pieced. So one of the other patterns that I made was called Island Illusion, and it's just a big pineapple that looks like it has kind of a domed effect to it.
Yeah.
But it's all applique.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. That's very interesting.
So, and then in terms of what I'm doing, I guess on a professional level in the quilting industry, the other really exciting thing that I had happen this year, there's a great company called Honest Fabric.
I know Honest Fabric. We're about to do 2 interviews with Carly. We've done them. But did you tell me about your relationship with Honest Fabric?
Okay, so I am a designer for Honest Fabric.
That is so cool.
I have, I think, something like 10 or 12 designs up there.
Okay, so now I'm at Honest Fabric. I see your name. We're doing well this time. Okay, there we are. There you are. Look at that. Hey, look at that. Okay,
Most
cool.
Of them are kind of non-traditional. I do have a couple more traditional ones up there, but most of them are just kind of like children's illustration style. It would be an easy project for someone to buy as a baby quilt and send to their long arm or long arm themselves and not have to worry about the piecing, which I really like.
Tell me how. So just so people understand what it is, because we haven't aired those, we will. But maybe I'll put this with Carly's interview. Tell me, explain what Honest Fabric is, so people can know what it is.
So Honest Fabric is a company that is American made, all based in the U.S. It's a digital print on a fabric. So rather than like a traditional panel would be maybe 36 by 27 or something small, you couldn't actually make an entire quilt out of it.
Yeah.
Honest Fabric is an entire quilt size print that you can just throw on your long arm and express all of your creativity with the quilting process rather than the piecing process.
Right. So and they're big, and she's award winning, and then she got all these designers, and it just launched at Quilt Market this year, right?
At Fall Market.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really exciting.
That's very cool. So did you create all of these designs yourself, the ones that are here?
Yeah.
You're amazing. How did you do that?
Well, thanks. They're all digital illustrations done in Illustrator and Photoshop.
That's amazing. You've got one that's an alphabet. That's adorable. That's it's an animal alphabet. You created all those little creatures yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
that took quite a bit of time, actually.
Yeah, it's so adorable. We'll have to have a link to it. It's really cool. But you can kind of see that if you were making a blanket for a kid, all you'd have to do is get this panel, and then you'd put a back on it, and then you'd just quilt it, and it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those patterns, specifically the animal alphabet ones, they even have borders around them, so it kind of gives you a little bit of extra room to play around with, your edge and how you quilt it and everything. So you really don't have to do anything.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even recognize that. So it does. It has a border. It's got it's like a panel, and then it's got a black border and then a blue border around it. I just thought it was the picture. I don't know. I didn't really realize it was part of the. And then you've got a one that's got a white background, and then one that's got a blue background. That's so great. That's got the pink border.
The other thing that I've tried to do with them is, and I think quite a few of the designers have done this, where the outer edge, whatever border, it's coordinating enough that if you wanted to even splice it off or fold it over and use it as your binding, you could do that as well.
Nice.
you're really getting a full quilt
Yeah.
when you buy one of those panels.
Yeah, you really are. It's great. They're really cool. I mean, and they're really cool. So that's really fun. How did you get connected to her and to Honest Fabric?
Carly and I are really close friends, and we've worked together on a couple things in the past. And she came to me and asked me if it actually started with the ice cream cone pattern that's on there. I made that as an applique pattern originally. And she said, would you be open to printing this on fabric for people who don't want to have to piece it? And I said, yeah, that sounds amazing, because I'm always doing applique because I am not a really great piecer. That's something really cool that I've never excelled in for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it all started with that, and then she pitched this idea to me, and I was in love with it from the beginning. So,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's
I
really
also
cool.
like the fact that it has a sustainable mission behind it, and the fact that the entire premise is based on paying designers fairly for their work. So.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So, they're printed in the U.S. They're different sizes of it, and they're between $80 and $120, no matter which designer you choose. And then she pays her artists very reasonably. Right? Which is great.
Absolutely. And the thing with the pricing is that, when you think about how much money you're going to put into buying a kit, or the pieces to piece a traditional quilt, it's really a fair price for the consumer as well. Yeah,
it is a fair price, and you've just got to do the quilting on top, which is pretty awesome. And they're what's interesting about who she's chosen in terms of the designers is there's just a lot of variety. It's worth taking a look and seeing if there's anything that catches your fancy. I find that every time I look at the site, I want to buy 8 of them, which is ridiculous. It's very easy to. And they have a cool thing, they've got this. I don't know who did this one, the football one, where it looks like a football. The whole thing is just a very close up thing of a football, which you could totally see for a kid who loved football, or my dad's girlfriend who really loves football. There's a lot. There's a lot of different things going on here, which is really interesting. So,
it's a really eclectic mix.
Yeah, very cool. Well, that's really interesting. So what else have you been up to? What else are you, what else in your quilting world? So you're going to make your website. Let's go to your website. Is your website up? Do you have a website?
It is. It's needlecraftnomad.com.
Yep, I've got it. Cool. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. You do a nice job. So elegant. Cool.
Thank you.
Look at that. Very nice. So nice. And so how important is blogging for you? You have a blog. I'm really not great at the whole blogging thing. But tell me, what role does blogging play in your life? Because you do a lot of adventure. You're an adventure thing, right?
Yeah. So if you look at my page closely, you will see that blogging is actually a really big challenge for me too.
Yeah.
With my day job being so stressful, I decided I wanted to write. And originally I was thinking it would be all about my travels, and I wrote a couple of these posts on places that I went, and they did not get very many reads at all, and they were really boring in my opinion.
It's so hard, right?
It's really difficult. And so then, you're going through day-to-day experiences, and I kind of ventured off into writing about just personal things that were happening in my life, and they've gotten significantly more traction.
What's that about? A lot of people. Okay, so you have a part that's about self-love, and you're getting 5,600 people reading. Like, how did that happen? Like, what? First of
Yeah,
all, what are you writing about, and how did that happen?
I think my most read post is almost to 20,000 reads on there.
That is so insane. That's so cool. How did that happen? Right, you're enough. Your post is you're enough and always have been. That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's really just about how I have been since the last few months of my life have been really a whirlwind, moving to a completely new city and not knowing anyone. And I've had a lot of really big changes in my personal life. So I just started writing about that, and I think it was really relatable to a lot of people. So then my blog has kind of morphed into self-love at the moment.
Yeah.
But what I have always wanted is to have a crafting and sewing blog.
So interesting.
Because the thing that I really find the most inspiration from in my digital art and in my quilting has always been from my travels. So all of my quilts that I've made, I'll show you pictures of them.
Yeah.
Send them to you later. I think there's a few on my website as well.
Yeah, I'm there. Oh, yeah.
They're all kind of derivatives of trips that I've taken. So that's where I want to end up eventually, if I can ever get it there.
It's so interesting. So interesting. There's the pineapple one. I found the pineapple one. It's great. Oh, that's so cool. So it looks like it's paper pieced, but it's applique.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It does. It really does. That's really cool.
So that one too. Another place that if I guess someone was listening, or if you wanted to look at the pattern, if you subscribe to Make Modern magazine, it's an Australian publication that's all digital. That was a free pattern in one of their issues last year.
That is so cool. How did that happen?
I think I saw a call to submit something and emailed, and they really liked that pattern, so it ended up being something that I just submitted as a free pattern for people who are subscribing.
It's very cool. And do you do your own quilting on these, or is this someone else quilting?
So I can't exactly remember which pictures are on my website. For the majority of them, I don't do the quilting.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple on there, like the blue and red and yellow one. That's the plus quilt that I was telling you about.
Yeah, I saw that. It's really cool. The plus quilt.
Yeah. So the quilting on that is much simpler, and it's because I did it.
Now, what about the ice cream? Because the ice cream's on there, and it's incredible. Who did the quilting there?
So Carly Porter quilted the ice cream.
It's so cool.
And then
it's got her style. I wondered because it's got that almost kind of graffiti-like style to it, where she's building on stuff, which is really, her stuff is really cool, right?
So there's another version of that too that I think is on my Instagram. I need to post more pictures of this on my website, but on my Instagram there's another version of the ice cream cone that Sarah Thomas, or Sarah Diddy if you're looking at Instagram handle, she quilted one as well. And then there's a picture of, it's a girl on kind of a unicorn float.
Yeah, I saw that. That's amazing. Right.
That one. So that was supposed to be my summer self-portrait last year.
Yeah.
And the quilting on that one is done by Jane Hopprich. She's a handy quilter educator.
Interesting. That's so cool. Your stuff is so let me ask you, I'm kind of afraid of applique. So tell me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm totally
afraid. It's
afraid.
the easiest kind of quilting.
Why? Like, how do you, so tell me what you do. Like, do you do it as, tell me what style you do in terms of applique. Do you do needle turn or raw edge, or what do you do exactly?
I'm not patient enough to do needle turn. I think I would pull my hair out before I got one piece of it done.
Yeah.
My favorite process to do is to sketch something out in Illustrator, kind of come up with my pattern, and then I really like using heat and bond. and just putting that on the back of my fabric. And I usually actually throw everything into my cutting machine. I use a silhouette and cut everything out and just do raw edge applique on all of it. And then I generally just straight stitch around the edge or do like a zigzag or something and then leave the rest to the quilting. That's
remarkable. And do you find, so when you do straight edge, so we had this this pattern that we tried that was a unicorn. I'm not a unicorn, llamas. It was llamas. And how do you do the straight edge? Like, do you are you using how do you it seemed really hard to turn the stuff. Like, is there a strategy for doing straight edge so that it looks good?
You know what I'm saying? Manipulating the fabric in your machine?
Yeah.
So, am I allowed to, say a brand of
You totally can. That's called let's just pause for a second. That's called nominative use in trademark. So you can say anything. Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, totally.
So I am a really big advocate for having the right sewing machine for what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I've always been a really diehard Bernina fan.
Interesting.
Because I like doing applique, and their machines have the dual feed. So everything is moving on the bottom and the top evenly, and you don't have to pull and push on your fabric at all when you're using one of their machines. So I find it very difficult if I'm ever using like a friend or classroom machine that isn't like mine. I can't imagine trying to do something on a larger scale without that feature. But that's kind of the thing that I attribute to the fact that I can do a good job at it.
That's really interesting. So the machine really makes a difference. So I'm looking at the unicorn one with the girl riding the unicorn on the waves, and so when you do she has a bathing suit on, are you turning your machine all the way around? Are you just using your regular foot and turning it the way you need to turn it, or are you using
Yep.
You are?
Yep. None of it is, so very rarely I will get out, there's a foot called the BSR. I don't know if you have heard of that or not, but it's basically like a free motion type of foot that you put your feed dogs down that gives you a little bit more freedom to move.
Yeah.
But I didn't use that for that quilt. I really just kind of, you can't go super fast going around the curves, but you just kind of take your time.
You just take your time. And then how much of it, how far away from the edge are you sewing? Because you're not sewing a 1/4 inch, right? You're sewing teeny tiny close to, how close are you sewing to the edge?
I'm not really that precise. I would say maybe 1/8 of an inch or less. I get as close to the edge as I can.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really actually enjoy doing is matching the colors of my thread to whatever I'm working on.
That was what I was going to ask. And you match the bobbin as well?
No, I always just use a white bobbin,
really?
Or whatever color my background is, I'll put that in. And then the thing that I've really discovered this year at Spring Market that I love so much is the 80 weight Orfill.
Yeah.
For that stitching around, they have 100 colors or something crazy, and you can just match them all to whatever fabric, and it's so delicate and thin that it kind of just blends right in. So even if you mess up on the stitching, you can't really tell.
All right, so let's I'm looking at, hold on, okay, so let's go back to a couple of things you said. So tell me again about heat and bond. I'm now at Amazon because I go to Amazon to look for stuff. Tell me what heat and bond is and why you like heat and bond. And there's a bunch of different ones, right? There's a couple. There's iron-on adhesive, light iron-on adhesive.
Yeah. So heat and bond is a double-sided fusible.
Okay.
And basically, what you do is you iron it on to the back of your fabric, and then there's a piece of paper that you can peel off that kind of reveals the other side with the adhesive. And then you take that piece and put it onto your background fabric and iron it down, and then it's pretty much permanently fused there. There are several different, I guess, weights of adhesive that they offer, and I really like the light, the Heat and Bond light, and there's a feather light or featherweight version as well. I like the light version because it gives you just enough that if you are ironing on multiple layers, the adhesive stays still, but it's not too stiff. The Ultra Hold one, you're never supposed to sew through. So that's something, if you just want to put it on and leave it and not do any sort of stitching, it's perfect. But otherwise, the light one is the one that I go for.
And is there a situation where you don't sew through something? Like you're just adding it? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there any situation where you would use that? I don't personally use it unless I'm doing something like a patch or something like that. I would never use it for an applique quilt. Got it.
I'm sure that you could if you weren't going to stitch through it at all, but I would think even with the quilting process that you wouldn't want to put that on a long arm.
Got it.
And then sew through it. But yeah, the light one works really well.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Okay. And then tell me about the thread again. Tell me, like, how do I understand what thread I use? Because you were saying Aurifil 80, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never understand.
One thing that I guess I don't know if I'm really following the rules when I'm doing this, but before I used the Aurifil, before I found the Aurifil 80 weight at Spring Market, I was using embroidery thread, like machine embroidery thread, because there's such a variety of colors that it's so easy to match it. And it's, I think, a 50 weight, so it is not as thick as a traditional piecing thread. But machine embroidery thread is very durable, obviously, because it's going at a high speed over and over again.
Right.
So even though it's thin, you don't have to worry about it breaking or not holding up. So that's what I was using before. The Aurifil, though, is cotton, which I really like, and it's 80 weight, so it's even more of a fine thread.
Because you're trying to make it so that, let me see if I'm right. Why you're going to 80 for the applique is because you really want it not to show. Is that why?
Right. Because you just want it to blend in.
You just want it to blend in. And then how did you, if you said there's all these colors, did you just purchase a bunch of colors, or how do you get enough colors that you have it for sewing, you know?
So I found Aurifil offers a box set that you can buy of, I think, all of the colors, unless they've came out with more, they may have at this point. But there's a box of, I think, 50 colors that they came out with, and I just bought that when I saw it.
Oh, that's really cool.
And if you do any sort of applique, even with the needle turn applique, it works really, really well. I don't personally use it for that, but I have friends who do, and it's a really great thread. And then if you're doing any machine embroidery and you want a really fine text to be crisp and clear, that's another good thing that it works really well for.
Interesting. Very interesting. I love it. I totally love it. That's so cool. Okay, well, this is all very interesting. Wow. So yeah, I found it. So the box set. So it's a little pricey, but once you get it, you have all the thread you need, right? Is that sort of the way you felt?
Yeah. And so one thing that I have realized with that thread specifically is that although the spools are small, because the thread is so fine, there is a lot on each spool.
There's a lot.
So you are making a good investment. You're not going to run out in like one project or something. I've had mine since Spring Market, and I'm just now getting down on a couple of the colors that I use a lot. And I do a lot of stitching with it.
And then once you're done with it, you could just order that particular one. Is that kind of your idea? Is that you'll You'll just replace it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Interesting. All right, cool. Well, we'll put a link to this on, you have a web page, and I'll put a link to, all right, so hold on. Honest fabric and thread. Okay. Cool. Hold on, I'm very slow. Sorry. Okay, cool. Well, this is so interesting. So I can't wait to see what else you do. This is really cool. So, what, if you don't mind me asking, and you can say no, what do you do? This is not your full-time job. What else do you do in your life? Because we find that, like, your life, your other part of your life affects your regular, you know what I mean? Like, and you start to go, oh, you're an engineer, or you're an organizer, or what, you know, whatever it is. So, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm in vaccine research.
You're in what?
Vaccine research.
Vaccine research. How interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So, how, I would have thought, that's so funny. You didn't go to art school and, like, you're a scientist?
Yeah, I actually went to med school.
See, like, people are so interesting, right? Because, like, you are so graphic and you're so visual. So how did that happen? And how did you balance both your artistic side and your medical, like, science-y side?
So what's funny is that I kind of took a hiatus, like a temporary, I guess, a sabbatical from my medical career. The last couple of years, I've been working for a software company in the quilting industry, which I think is how we were going to meet originally.
Yeah, we were going to meet about that. Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of been like my main project, and it was just due to life circumstances and needing a break, kind of to refresh everything.
Yeah, I get it.
That happened.
I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah. But my first passion is definitely medicine. And I, like I said, with quilting, it kind of just came about that I saw this thing online, and I realized, like, this would be the perfect way for me to kind of have a creative outlet so that I am not so stressed out during the day at work. And I've always really liked drawing and painting and that sort of thing, but that's one of those things that I've done my entire life, and I just wanted something different. And when I found sewing and quilting, it just made sense to me.
Yeah. Interesting. So interesting. And so are you, do you want to do this full time, or do you like the balance of your other life? I mean, is it a balance thing, or is it like, oh, I wish I could just do this all the time?
I think it's definitely a balance thing.
Yeah.
I like feeling like I have a purpose and that I'm doing something to me that is very meaningful during the day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is something that I have such a passion for, and I enjoy it so much. I really lose myself in the time when I'm working on things like this. So I like having that balance.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think that there's something, there's a lot of people, I get it, because, like, I like my job, right? So that, you got to start with that. I really do like my job as a law professor. So, and you and I have worked really hard to have the jobs we have. So, just sort of giving all of that up I think would be really hard. I also feel like, and see if you feel this way, I feel like if quilting is my job, then it's not as fun, right? Like, there's a kind of, it becomes a new pressure, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, there's a kind of, I don't know. Absolutely. I want a balance where, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you agree? Do you feel that way? Like, I feel like it's got to be a balance of, like, this is still got to be fun, or I'm not going to do this, right? Like, I don't need more obligation,
I do feel like there's something to be said when you take what is your hobby and you turn that into a profession.
Yeah.
And of course, at that point, it is no longer going to be a hobby. It's not what you want to do at the end of the day.
No.
It's not your stress reliever, because it's what you're doing all the time. And I know there are people who are very happy doing it all the time.
Yeah.
But as a profession and not as a hobby.
Yeah.
And that's just not where I don't think I am strong enough in that field to be able to do it on a day-to-day basis all the time. So, yeah, it's definitely a balance for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, like, I don't know. I don't want it to be work. I mean, I like, we've been doing this. I've been doing this project now. Like, you know, I was like you. I was a kid, and I did cross stitch with my mom, and it's always been the hobby, the thing I escaped to at the end of the day whenever I was doing whatever I was doing. And there was a moment this year where it was so overtaking everything that it was like that. Almost work became the escape from the quilting, you know? So it was like, that was really interesting moment of like, well, what are you, you know, human? Your whole like self-love thing of like, okay, we gotta have to sort of think through like, what is this balance? Because there's no balance right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting.
Yeah, you really have to take a step back and prioritize.
Yeah. Interesting. So do you think then, so you made this move to Atlanta. Do you think you'll stay in Atlanta, or are you there for good, or do you think it's just like one place in your journey? Like, what do you think? What's the next part of your adventure going to be?
So I moved here not knowing anyone.
That is so crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why did you do that?
For work.
Got it.
And I had been to Atlanta maybe once before.
Yeah.
Just for like a day. So it was like I said earlier, a whirlwind of an experience.
Yeah.
But I love it here now. I've really found just this incredible group of people in terms of quilting and art, and in just friendships, that I've met so many friendly people here. So
yeah,
I would
liked
like
it.
to think I would stay here for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm always doing something spontaneous, so who knows?
That's really interesting. I'm writing down what you just said. That's interesting. So I found that with Atlanta too, actually. I really just loved it. Now, have you joined the Modern Quilt Guild or any of those? Like, they have a great Modern Quilt Guild there.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I did. One of my friends on Instagram, funny enough, who is also a quilter, I had never met her before, and I had no concept of where she was living in Atlanta before I moved here. And I found the place I'm living now in this town, and it turned out, we're messaging back and forth now that I'm here, let's get together. And she lives a block away from me.
That's so funny.
So it was one of the first things I did was meet her, and we went to the Modern Quilt Guild meeting together and found all of these incredible people. And so, of course, I joined that. And then I found, several other people that I knew from attending market that actually live here as well. So there's a really great group of people.
It's a great group of people.
Here.
I just want to come back. So now you're there too. I mean, we met so many people. I love the, what shops did I love there? I loved the is it In Town Quilt Shop?
In Town Quilter, yeah.
I loved that one. And then we also, my favorite, I think of all times, my favorite shop is the Red Hen Stitch. Is it Red Hen Stitch something? Stitch Company? Do you know that one? And I think it's in Marietta. Red Hen Stitch Shop. The Red Hen Stitch Shop. Have you been there yet?
I've been there.
Oh my gosh. It's, well, I like kind of more modern-y kind of colors and stuff. It's great. And Andy, one of the owners, is just amazing. She also fixes sewing machines and teaches people how to fix sewing machines. She's been a guest on our show. I love that shop so much that I ask her every once in a while to just randomly send me something she thinks I should make. Like, just pick out a bunch of fabric and send it.
I'm definitely gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I really like her shop. I don't know. It's just like whatever. I think it's really open, and then I get kind of freaked out. There's another shop that Tara Miller took us to that's like far away, but it's got every fabric that's ever made in the history of fabric. It's her favorite shop. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe Threadbare? I don't remember.
Scarlet Thread?
Have you been there yet?
Definitely look that up.
It is,
No.
it is, yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. It's just stuffed with fabric. Like, literally, you could find anything there. You just have to have, we got so, I got kind of overwhelmed, but there was a nice place to eat right next door. We walked in, had a bit of had a salad, then went back. So, it was good. Yeah, it's huge.
That's good that's there, though. I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's it. I could be wrong, but it's a lot of fabric. I don't see it. Yes, no, it may not be Threadbare. That's a different thing. That's not the right one. We'll have to ask Tara, and I'll add in when we edit. Well, I hope you have, like, a great adventure. Will you keep talking to us? Okay, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to ask. We're going to have to ask Tara and be like, Tara, we need you to come on the show right now. So cool. So this is why
Once you find out, definitely let me know.
Yeah, it's like a thing, you know? It's really like amazing thing. Okay, cool. So are you sewing today? Do you think you're sewing today?
I actually am not. I have to go into work.
You have to do that pesky work thing. I have like a couple more days until school starts again. So we haven't taken down any of the holiday stuff because I cannot deal with the fact that it's January.
Yeah, time is going by way too fast, really.
It really is. Awesome. I'm so glad you came by and chatted with us. This is really cool. I would love if you want to.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's so cool. So I don't know if you've joined our Facebook page, but we would love that. And we have an Instagram account that we're working on. And then obviously the podcast.
I follow you.
You do? On Instagram?
Yeah. And on Facebook, I think, also on Instagram, and I do subscribe to the podcast.
You did? Oh my gosh, you did it all. Awesome. Are you part of the Quilting Army? Are you there already? That's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, this is so great. I love it. This is great. Awesome. Well, I really, really, I'm really happy that you came by, and this is so great.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So you've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, and I'm Elizabeth Townsend Gard. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.